Hey everyone, welcome back to BBA Simplified by Dr. Vinky Sharma. With our marathon classes on organizational behavior, today we have come on to Unit 4. In today's marathon session, we will understand group behavior, one of the most important units of organizational behavior, I must say. From why people form group to how teams function to how conflicts arise and how they can be handled. This unit covers the complete psychology of group dynamics inside an organization. So let us begin. I have divided these slides into different parts. We'll go one after the other. So this part 1 talks about introduction to group behavior. Let's understand the meaning of group behavior. A group simply means two or more individuals who come together with a purpose, interact regularly, and share some common goals. Group behavior refers to how members act, they communicate with each other, and influence each other within a group. And we say that group create identity, belongingness, and shared purpose. For example, let's say that in a marketing project team, the behavior of one student being enthusiastic or demotivated can quickly affect the entire team's performance, and this is why understanding group behavior is essential for managers as well. Whenever you in a class form the group, you see that you always form a group with the people or with the friends with whom your frequency matches, and that is how a group is formed. So we understand that whenever two or more people they start interacting, they start working together towards a common goal, we call it as a group. The question comes that why groups are formed. So what is the reason? Groups are formed due to several reasons, or there are several forces behind the formation of a group. The first one is security. It is seen that people feel safer when they belong to a group. Remember any individual in your class maybe who is not a part of a group? That student eventually stops coming to the class only. Why? Because of the security reason. Next is status. Membership enhances the prestige of the members of the group. When you are a member of a group, you feel that you are able to enhance your prestige. Another reason is self-esteem. When we are a part of a group, it boosts confidence. It boosts the self-esteem of an individual. Next one is affiliation. Of course, we feel affiliated. So humans naturally seek that friendship for the sake of that affiliation. Next is power. Again, as the group provides security, it provides self-esteem, it increases the confidence. So power comes naturally. Group provides a collective strength. If there is a problem with one member of a group, the other members of the group would collect quickly so that problem can be resolved. So it gives power. Groups also helps in achieving the goals because some goals actually require teamwork. Example could be a project team formed to distribute the workload, or maybe it has been seen in the organization that employees often form informal lunch groups. They are not formed because management asked them to, but they are formed because they feel emotionally secure and connected. So this is the reason or the forces behind that why groups are formed. Moving on to part B, now we'll understand that how groups are classified and what are the different types of groups. Groups can be classified in many ways. We have actually 6 different types or 6 different classification of the groups. The first one is the formal group. We say that formal groups are created by the organization. Like there are different departments, different committees or the task forces that work in the organization depending on the structure of the organization. But then there are informal groups as well. which emerges naturally, like friends from different departments who may bond over shared interest, who may bond over lunches, or who may bond over after office meetups. Then we say that there are command groups. These are created by the hierarchies, right? So hierarchies define the command groups. Then task groups, they are formed for specific assignments. एक particular assignment आपको दे दिया गया जिसके लिए you have to work in a group, so they are called as task assignments. Next time or whenever the assignment completes, that group's dismantled. Then other one is the interest group. Again, as the name suggests, you form a group on the basis of common interests. And then there are friendship groups. During the these kind of groups that you work together, you will often land up into a friendship with few people, so they are called as friendship groups. So an example of a task group, if I talk about, it could be a team that is formed to plan the annual day of the college, right? So these are the different classifications of the groups. Formal and informal groups I would like to focus here. Why? Because these are the groups that are generally mandate by the organization, and informal groups, all the other groups that we had talked about, they comes under the informal groups. So formal groups have structure. They follow certain rules. There is reporting. The relationships are defined, and even the roles are defined into these kind of groups. On the other hand, informal groups are flexible, they are emotionally driven, and they are based on personal relationships. Examples I have already mentioned. In the formal group example could be a finance department or the committees, and in informal groups it could be colleagues having lunch together. And if I talk about in your schools or in your colleges, the teaching staff is a formal group, but the 4 teachers who go for tea together every day, they form a informal group. Both these types of groups, formal group achieves goals and the informal groups maintain the harmony. So both the groups are important to understand. Now let's come on to the types of group structure. Every group has a structure, whether formal or informal, right? So this structure includes roles, norms, status, size, and cohesiveness. When we talk about roles, these roles define the responsibilities, the expected behavior pattern of the members of the group. These norms, they set the expectation for the behavior, the rules of conduct. Status determines the rank or influence of the group. What is the position of the members of the group, what is the rank, and what is the importance of that group. Group size talks about the number of people that work under one specific group. And cohesiveness shows how strongly members are bonded. So this is how the structure of a group is prepared. For example, in a sales team, one member may take the role of a leader, another as organizer, another as motivators. So these roles could be different for different people in one single group. Now let's understand what group norms are. Group norms are the unwritten rules of behavior. Nothing is written as such, but then there are certain rules of behavior that every individual follows. These include norms about punctuality, about attendance, meeting deadlines, work quality, communications, right? So why these norms are important? So that we can promote the predictability and the discipline of the group. For example, if one group member consistently arrives late, then what will happen? Others may indirectly pressure them to follow the group norms. So these norms helps us in maintaining the order and predictability of that particular group. Let's understand what is group cohesiveness. Group cohesiveness is the degree of attraction members feel towards the group. It defines the strength of bond among the members. So if there is high cohesiveness, there will be more cooperation and the members will feel more satisfied. On the other hand, if there is low cohesiveness, then there may be conflicts among the group members and the coordination would go poor. So the factors that affect cohesiveness, here we talk about that there is a strong bond among the members, there is better cooperation, their morale is high, their productivity is high, right? And for low cohesiveness, it would always lead to conflict and poor coordination. There are certain factors that affect cohesiveness. One is similarity. Similarity in the behavior of the individual, in the interest of the individuals. So more the similarity, higher is the cohesiveness. Stability says that for how long do you stay into that group. The more you stay into the group, the better you know the group members, and so higher is the cohesiveness. The success rate of the working of the group. The more the success the group has achieved, the better would be the cohesiveness and stability. The size of the group. It is said that if the size of the group is big, the cohesiveness would be on the lower side. So small groups generally have high cohesiveness. And the interaction. The more the group members interact with each other, the higher will be the cohesiveness. Let's now move on to part C of this unit, which is group decision making, a very important aspect whenever we talk about groups. Group decision making brings multiple minds together. This leads to diverse ideas, more creativity, and better understanding of the complex problems. However, it has limitations as well. And these disadvantages are such as more time consuming, dominance by few individuals, risk of group thinking, where the group tries to maintain harmony at the cost of realistic thinking. Right? So there are certain advantages and disadvantages of group decision making. We see that whenever any decision is made in a group, we have more knowledge in our hand, we have more diversity on the table. So when this diversity and knowledge comes together, we see that we are able to touch maximum aspects while taking a decision. There is better acceptance of the decision. Why? Because everyone was a part of decision making. The decision making becomes more creative because the discussion happens on the table. We see at maximum aspects before taking or before reaching on to the final decision. The disadvantages is we may come down onto taking a decision which makes it a slower process. Why? Because you need everyone to be agreed upon that final decision. There could be dominance by few members and other members would feel that हमेशा इन्हीं की चलती है, हमारी तो कोई सुनता नहीं है, so there is no point to be a part of a group. And then there is a groupthink risk as well, right? And for example, when in a project, team avoids disagreeing with the team leader even if the leader is wrong. So these are some of the problems that may occur for group decision making. But yes, group decision making is always considered to be a better aspect as compared to decisions that are made solely. Next, we come on to techniques of group discussion making. There are various techniques that are used while we take a decision in a group. The first one is brainstorming, wherein there is a free flow of ideas without any criticism. Everybody sit together, they all put up their ideas, and whosoever's ideas gets the maximum votes, the decision is taken accordingly. Then there is NGT or nominal group technique, wherein members generate ideas individually first, and after generating the idea individually, they meet on one particular date and time, they sit together and then they discuss over their own generated ideas. The next technique is a Delphi technique. Here the experts give their opinions anonymously. So the difference between NGT and Delphi technique is, in NGT, individual ideas are shared and everybody knows that which idea comes from whom. But in case of Delphi technique, individually the ideas are generated, but they are generated anonymously. Nobody knows that which idea was given by whom. So this anonymity helps in reducing the biasness while taking a final decision. So there are various rounds that happen for the questionnaires, and it happens till the time everybody reaches on the consensus. Then there are electronic meetings, the online meetings, the Zoom meetings, the Google meetings. So when the decisions are made electronically through the online platform for remote participations, that is called as electronic meetings. Then is consensus building, where members come to a mutually agreed decision, reach onto a consensus, and finally take a decision. Delphi method is used for forecasting and expert judgment. Then there are companies, they majority of the time they go for Delphi method, Delphi technique. Let's move on to part D of this unit. Here we will understand that what is the difference between teams and groups. So when we see the difference between teams and groups, we see that a group is simply people working together, but a team has deeper coordination. They are they are working together because they are complementing their skills. There is a shared accountability, and then there is a common purpose, right? So when we see these differences, if I start with purpose, we see that in a group we only share the information, but in teams we collectively perform together for a common purpose. When we talk about synergy, here in groups the synergy is neutral, but in case of teams the synergy is positive. We are able to produce more results. Accountability in groups, the accountability is individual because every member in a group is performing a different and specified role. But in case of team, the responsibility is individual along with mutual responsibility. In case of groups, the skills are random, but in teams the skills are complementary. So it has been seen that in a group the performance depends on the individual contributions. However, in teams the performance depends on collective effort. For example, 5 employees doing separate tasks, we call them as a group, but 5 people working on one integrated marketing campaign, we call them as a team. It is said that team require deeper coordination and shared responsibility as compared to a group. Now let's understand what are the different types of teams. Modern organizations use several types of teams. For example, there is cross-functional team, wherein we bring people from different departments. People from different departments, they form a cross-functional team. Why we are calling it as cross-functional? Because functional is depicting the departments, and cross because different department members form one team. So it is called as cross-functional team. Next is self-managed teams. They operate without the direct supervision of anybody. They are the ones who feel themselves to be more responsible and accountable for their tasks. Then another type of a team is called a virtual team. These people work online from different locations. So they are working remotely yet together. Next are the problem-solving teams. They focus on specific issues, on specific problems. So they get together in order to resolve the problem and then they dismantle. Right, for instance, there is a software company that commonly use virtual teams across India and abroad. Let's now move on to part E of this unit. Here we'll talk about the contemporary team issues. What are the latest or contemporary team issues that today's managers face? There are various challenges the managers are facing. For example, handling the virtual teams. We understand that handling a team that is physically available is easier as compared to handling a virtual team. Why? Because there are different time zones, availability, and the most prevalent is the network issues at different areas. The next challenge is managing the cultural diversity of the team members. Another challenges could be maintaining the trust in the remote setting, preventing role ambiguity, tackling social loafing where individuals exert less effort in groups, ensuring work-life balance. These are all the problems that managers are facing. For example, in virtual teams, if I specifically talk about, misunderstandings easily occur. Why? Due to limited face-to-face interaction. You have never met a person. So there is a limited, or you might have met a person but for very limited time. So these are the limitations that generally come while managing the teams. So now question comes, how to manage these teams effectively, or how to ensure team effectiveness? We must ensure that these teams, to keep them more effective, the role of a manager comes here is to be very, very clear on certain things. For example, the manager should define the goals very clearly. He should maintain open communication. He should clarify the roles each member of the team is supposed to perform. He is supposed to build the trust among the team members so that he can, the conflict can be avoided. The manager must also provide training to the team members or the group members so that they are more empowered, and whatever work they perform in a better way. There is a need to motivate the team members and to resolve the conflicts promptly. An effective team is the one where members support each other and they share responsibility, and this is where the major role of a manager comes into the picture. Just ensure that the teams are working effectively, members are supporting each other, and they are sharing their responsibilities. And that is when only we can actually call it as a team. Moving on to part F of this unit, we will now understand the intergroup dynamics and conflicts. Intergroup problems arise when different groups within an organization clashes. There is a clash due to different aspects. Maybe competition for resources, there are differences in the goals, there is miscommunication among the team members, there is a problem of stereotyping, the generalizing of the behavior, there is a problem of power wherein the group members struggle for the powers or authorities that they should have, when there is lack of cooperation. So these are the common problems between groups that generally occur. A classic example is conflict between the marketing department, which wants variety, and production department, which wants standardization. Let's understand what is conflict. Conflict is any situation wherein disagreement between the individual or groups arises. And why is it arising? It is arising due to differences in the values, interests, perceptions, and goals of the individuals. We see that there are three major types of conflicts. First is task conflict, where we see that there is disagreement about the work content among the team members. Next type of a conflict is the process conflict. Here we see the disagreement among the team members about how work should be done. And the third type of a conflict is the relationship conflict, and it happens due to personal clashes among the team members. A task conflict can, sometimes be healthy, but relationship conflict is actually destructive for any of the organization. Then a very important thing, which is how to manage these conflicts. Managers need to use various strategies to handle the conflicts. The very first strategy is avoiding. Ignore the issue when it is trivial and only handle it when the issue becomes major. Next is accommodating, allowing the other party to win. Let them accommodate, let them win, so that for that particular period of time the conflict finishes and people can go back to the work. So sometimes a manager has to accommodate as well. The next is competing. Here in this case, a manager needs to use his authority, that I am the manager and whatever I am saying you will have to do it. And so in this way, by showing the authority, the conflict is resolved. The other way could be compromising, where the manager uses a win-win approach, and that is considered as the best method. अच्छा ठीक है, थोड़ी बात आपकी मान लेते हैं, थोड़ी बात आप हमारी मान लो. Let's compromise and let's start working. Let's go back to the work. So generally it is said that it is considered as the best method of conflict resolution. The last one is collaborating. Again, collaborating, I have written that it is the best option, but in many of the cases compromising plays a better role. Collaboration is a win-win approach, right? They collaborate, they work together, and they see that everything is happening as per everyone's needs. For example, when two employees disagree on a project approach, what manager can do? Manager can use a collaborative approach to find a solution which is acceptable to both the parties. The difference between compromising and collaboration is that in compromising, each party gives up something. कुछ आप compromise करो, कुछ हम compromise करें. But in case of collaboration, what is happening is that a solution is provided which is suitable for everyone. सबकी बात को ध्यान में रखते हुए when we collaborate, that is what collaboration is. Let's understand that what are the positive and negative effect of the conflict. क्या लगता है, conflict का कोई positive effect भी हो सकता है? In organizations, yes. Why? Because whenever there are healthy conflicts, whenever there is healthy competition, we see the positive effect of the conflicts. Because, for example, there is a conflict happening on the technique used to perform the task. So what will happen here? We are actually stimulating the creativity among the team members. We are encouraging the changes that will come due to change in the technique of performing the task. And we are also highlighting a problem कि क्यों हमें जरूरत है टेक्निक चेंज करने की, क्योंकि पुरानी टेक्निक में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है. So these ways we see that there are some positive aspect of conflicts as well. So that is why it is said that conflict is not always negative. It stimulates creativity, it highlights problems, and it also brings improvements in the techniques and methods and processes. But when we talk about the negative aspect of the conflict, it leads to stress, low morale, reduced productivity, and a damage to relationship. Therefore, managers should aim to maintain the functional conflict and minimize the dysfunctional conflict, these negative aspects. Coming on to the last part of the unit, wherein we'll see the summary of whatever we have learned, and then we will also have some examination focus. So to summarize, we have seen that groups form for psychological and functional reasons. We have learned that group structure influence behavior. We have seen that decision making in group has benefits and risks. We have learned that teams differ from groups in synergy and accountability. New challenges like virtual teams require modern solutions. We have also learned that intergroup conflict is common but manageable with the right strategies. Now let's look at the questions that comes in the examinations. These are few exam-oriented questions which has been seen in the previous year questions. For example, define group behavior and its classification, explain group structures, write a note on group decision-making techniques, differentiate between teams and groups, a very common and a very important question. What are intergroup conflicts? How can they be managed? Contemporary team management issues. These are the questions that comes from this unit. Thank you for learning with BBA Simplified by Dr. Vinky Sharma. In the next video, we will be talking about Unit 5, which is Management of Change, and is going to be the last unit for this course. Do like, share and subscribe for more marathon classes. Thank you so much for watching.